When my mother looked straight at me over the roasted chicken and said, "You'll never have your sister's ambition," my heart didn't just sink, it turned to stone. But instead of shrinking into my seat like I had for 28 years, I pushed my chair back from the table. The screech of wood on tile silenced the room. "Then I guess it's a good thing my lack of ambition is what paid for this dinner," I replied, my voice eerily calm. "And a roof over your heads for the last 3 years." My father's fork clattered onto his plate. "What are you talking about, Maya?" In that moment, the secret I had buried deep inside, the truth about who was really holding our family together, was about to shatter the perfect image they cherished so much. If you have ever been the invisible child in your own family, the one who gives everything but gets none of the credit, then you need to hear what happened next. Subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments where you're watching from, because the moment I decided to stop being a ghost was the moment I got my life back. My name is Maya Silva. I'm 28, a graphic designer by day, and for the past 3 years, I've been my family's secret financial lifeline. The Friday night dinner was a sacred ritual in our house. No excuses were accepted. The long oak table would be set with my mother's best china, the air thick with the smell of her cooking and the heavier scent of unspoken expectations. My older sister Isabella was the star, a charismatic real estate agent. Her life was a cascade of closed deals, expensive handbags, and stories that held my parents rapt. I was the backdrop, the artistic one, a label they used like a gentle pat on the head for a pet that tries its best. "That's nice, dear," my mother would say when I mentioned a new client. Then she'd immediately turn to Isabella. "Now, Bella, tell us about the Johnson deal, a $1 million listing." That night was no different. Isabella held court, discussing a luxury condo sale while my parents beamed. I tried to share that I'd just landed a major contract with a national brand. My father chuckled. "That's our Maya, always doodling. But Bella here, she's building an empire." Then came the words that broke the dam. "You have to understand, Maya," she said, not unkindly, but with a finality that cut deeper than any insult. "Isabella has a drive you just don't possess. You're comfortable, she's successful." The room swam. I saw the 3 years of bank transfers flash before my eyes, the money I'd sent after my father's business faltered, the gifts for bills I knew they couldn't pay, the thousands of dollars that had quietly flowed from my account to theirs, delaying my own dream of buying a studio apartment. I pushed my chair back. The sound was a gunshot in the dining room. 3 years, I said, my voice steady, though my hands trembled under the table. "For 3 years, I've been paying the mortgage on this house. I've covered the property taxes, the insurance, the repairs you said you couldn't afford." The silence was absolute. Isabella's smile was frozen in place. "Don't be dramatic, Maya," blustered my father, his face reddening. "We appreciate the help you've given us." But what?" I interrupted. "But because I'm not driven like Isabella? What's her contribution? A new set of wine glasses?" I stood up. "The automatic transfer I set up, it ends tonight. You can ask your successful daughter to cover the mortgage from now on." I walked out of that house and drove to my small rented apartment, my whole body shaking. But beneath the shock and hurt, a new feeling was growing. A terrifying, exhilarating sense of freedom. The fallout was immediate. My phone blew up with calls and texts, angry, pleading, guilt-tripping. I ignored them all. I spent the weekend in silence, gathering evidence. I printed every bank statement, every transaction, and compiled them into a stark, black folder. On Monday, I went to my parents' house unannounced. I found them in the kitchen, the air still heavy with the remnants of Sunday's uneaten dinner. I placed the folder on the table. "This isn't a negotiation," I said before they could speak. "This is a statement. $42,000.
That's what my lack of ambition has given you." My mother started to cry. "We didn't know it was that much. We would have—" "You knew," I said softly. "You just didn't care to see it." Isabella arrived, summoned by their panicked calls. She looked at the folder, her face a mask of confusion and dawning horror. You did this? I thought Dad's business had recovered." "That's the story they told you. The truth was convenient for everyone. You got to be the star, and they got to keep their pride. I was just the utility no one wanted to acknowledge." The confrontation was ugly. There were tears, shouts, accusations of betrayal. But I stood my ground. I was no longer pleading for a scrap of recognition. I was stating a fact. I left them with the folder and a final ultimatum. "I'm done. The bank will be contacting you about assuming the mortgage. I suggest you figure it out." In the months that followed, I focused on myself. I moved into a beautiful, light-filled studio I could finally afford now that my money was my own. I thrived in my career, the confidence I'd found in that dining room spilling over into my work. I heard through the grapevine that my parents had to take out a loan. Isabella, it turned out, wasn't as financially secure as she seemed. The dynamic had irrevocably shifted. They lost a safety net that day. But I found my voice. And I learned that the most powerful thing you can do is not just walk away from a toxic situation, but make sure they see exactly what they're losing as you go. If you've ever had your worth dismissed by the very people who depend on you, know that your story isn't over. Where are you watching from? Share your experience in the comments. And if you're ready to start prioritizing your own peace, hit subscribe. Your value is not up for debate.